fuck are ya, you silly bellends, galactic criminal here, and today we got ourselves a random pick out the DMs. Not too much to say about themselves here, but turns out there's some right prick metalcore wankers out the UK in it. In the interest of going in raw, I decided not to look up any more than that. Keep it a mystery. So strap on your Johnnies, let's go for a dip. Isolate. Phantasm. 1, 2, 3. Where'd he go?
What's crazy from my love?
Well then. Maybe I shouldn't have been so cavalier. Is that the word I'm looking for at the beginning of this thing? Maybe I should have looked into them a little more to see more about them. Because that was a lot more serious than I was expecting, to be honest. I have thoughts. I honestly realized right off the top of this thing with the kind of back and forth conversation they were having in the video that I really had no idea what I was in for. I went and checked out their Disgrace book. It says some stuff in there, a little bit more about what this band is like and the type of stuff that they like to talk about. And this is kind of that idea, bringing light to like anxiety and depression and kind of being trapped in your own head. And that's pretty much what this song seemed to be about, not only like lyrically, but musically and visually with the music video itself. I relate. I relate to it, being someone who does deal with anxiety and depression and social anxiety, especially, even more so now with like the whole like year and a half, almost like 2 years coming up of being in the quarantine and just being away from people all the time. It's just become worse and worse. I don't even know how to it's like a fucking Castaway or something like that. Tom Hanks coming back after 6 years. You don't really know how to be with people anymore. It's weird sometimes. Not to the extreme degree that a lot of people are, but I do have that. Anxiety and stress, just being in a loop inside your head, and then just ideas and scenarios running constantly through your mind. You feel like you're just in a constant loop. I mean, it's not exactly, I don't think I was saying he was talking more so about his dream, but I feel like it's kind of indicative of that. It's subjective, it's music, it's artistically subjective, I guess, but that's the kind of thoughts that I get from it and how I relate to the subject matter. But then the musically, man, I mean, they're not making anything that I've never heard before. I've heard like several bands that sound somewhat similar to this, but just again like the idea and the theme of the lyrics and the music and the music video and everything, and how like the keys changed, like the notes changed during the cleaner section of this thing were very, very panicked sounding. The difference between like the guitar tones and the vocal tones during that part, there was a weird change there that made me feel very, very anxious and kind of stressed because it wasn't following necessarily the formula that we'd had up until that point, like melodically or rhythmically. It was very strange and kind of off-putting, which I feel was very intentional. Like visually, it kind of showed that as well in this. Yeah, I was taken off guard by what we got here. I feel like, again, this is a very good representation all around, artistically, musically, vocally. And the vocals, man, there's some solid range here. The cleans kind of surprised me based on just like how the song was going up until that point. They didn't totally take me out of it entirely. Again, like I said, like that kind of note change that happened during that made it very interesting. The placement of the cleans I thought was pretty good. It's just for how heavy this was, more like to the heavier side of metalcore, almost into like the deathcore. Just the cleans kind of were just okay, but I settled into them and I thought, okay, on the second listen, that won't be as jarring as a change as it was the first time around. Again, going into their Disgrace book, talking about how they use elements like progressive metalcore elements and like deathcore elements and stuff like that. They take a little bit from a lot of different places and create their own sound essentially. I thought that was pretty cool. So song as long as it was though, and I'll say this before, I'll say it again, Taka Taka. They had like a sort of on and off style of like speed moment at some point in here to kind of give you like another sort of chaotic feeling as to this guy being tortured by this phantasm that's chasing him around. You know, like he's just not knowing what's going to happen, but it's like running a loop over and over and over again, right? To being trapped and just the anxiety of that. It would be interesting to have like a kind of difference in pacing, I guess, throughout this thing. It kind of held like the same style of rhythm, pacing. It was pretty slow for the most part. It would have been interesting to kind of play with that a little bit. It's just kind of what's going through my brain. What was here, I thought was good and very enjoyable. Again, I've heard other bands sound similar, but what they did here thematically was very interesting to me. So hey, what the rest of you fuckers think of this shit? Did you think it was a good find? I think this is a good find. I'd probably listen to more. Let me know in the comments below. Of course, there'll be a link in the description for this video so you can watch it for yourself, so screen, full audio, and get the full experience. And as always, have yourself a fantastic evening.